Nigel Dodds.
Speaker, when this review was announced to this House in October of last year, I said then that the murder of Pat Finucane was an atrocious, terrible and despicable crime, and we repeat that today. And anyone guilty of involvement in his murder in any way needs to face justice, and there should be no covering up or resigning from that. With reference to the fact that some 3,500 people were murdered in the course of the Troubles, and over 1,000 of them, as the Prime Minister referenced, in the security forces, will he accept that he owes it, and this House owes it, to all the victims on all sides to ensure that all murders are fully investigated and that there is a sense of justice for all families, no matter on what side they find themselves, victims of terrorism? And given the problems with public inquiries, not least the expense, does he accept that such inquiries do not provide closure, despite what has been said? We have seen that in Northern Ireland in relation to the Bloody Sunday inquiry. We've seen it in relation to other inquiries. And they have had the effect, and the evidence is clear, they've had the effect in the minds of many of elevating certain crimes above other crimes where there have also been failings and which are equally heinous. And finally, Mr. Speaker, does he agree that the sight of Sinn Féin leaders hypocritically lecturing people today about the human rights of people, leaders of Sinn Féin who have been deeply and intensely involved personally in murder and terrible terrorism crimes, that people need to hear a clear message from the Prime Minister that wrongdoing will be punished on all sides, but that we will never succumb to the propaganda of elevating and equating terrorists, no matter who they are, with the many thousand, tens of thousands of decent, ordinary people in the security forces who protected life and limb during 30 to 40 years of terrible violence in Northern Ireland.
I think the honourable gentleman makes an important point in what he just said. In terms of making sure that others in Northern Ireland can find justice, that I think is the work of the Historical Inquiries team, and as I've said, they should continue with their work. What he says specifically about wrongdoing by the IRA, the report couldn't be clearer that it bears an enormous responsibility, and as I read out in my statement, for an extremely bloodthirsty campaign and for a huge amount of the suffering that was caused. And Desmond de Silva couldn't be more frank about that. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't do what a proper democratic state under the rule of law does, which is to explain what went wrong and how we learn lessons from that.
Sir Tony.